Welcome to Thriving Thursday. We're continuing today. I'm going to do a little bit of work about understanding internal and external triggers. This is going to be really important for your assessment marketing as well, because we want to be asking the right questions and we want to be logically sequencing why someone would need our product. So let's get going. So the whys of this. We are deep diving into what causes a consumer to take action. And for many of us, we develop products and then we get up to the sale and we find we're not really being able to pull the trigger on that sale because we haven't led up with our copy, with our assessment marketing, with all of that into what is causing these people to take action. We're also going to talk about how to do that a little bit, building the triggers, what I call why it like a 5-year-old, which when you see the exercise, you'll totally understand if you've ever had a 4 or 5-year-old. So remember, the reason we're doing all this is assessment marketing is digital listening. So the triggers. We have 2 different types of triggers. External, tell the consumer what we want to do within the online environment. And internal, consumers take action based on past behavior. Here are a few examples of external triggers. Paid advertising. That's a very effective way to go, cost per clicks, but it's a higher cost per consumer acquisition. So if you're not far enough along that you understand consumer acquisition costs, it's very important in the digital world to be able to monitor that to see if your advertising is effective. So if when you're looking at inside your funnel and it costs 5 cents for somebody to click, then you have to start measuring as they go through the funnel what it actually costs to get them to purchase. So that's where omni-channel marketing is really coming into its own because of the consumer journey within that funnel to lower those client acquisition costs. It's not unusual for it to be a very high acquisition cost. It really depends on what you're promoting and also what industry you're in. Sometimes I've seen as much as $200-300 a client acquisition cost. Earned. Now, this is what we're doing with platform building, and we can do a little bit of paid advertising with it, but this requires time. It's a lower consumer acquisition cost because we're not advertising, but it does require that we spend time and we build relationships. The third type, I'm sorry, I think I said there were only 2 earlier, is relationship. And this is actually an area where we can get hypergrowth in the right ethical environment. And what I mean by that is you probably hear a lot with the news cycles these days about clickbait. Clickbait is what I would consider hypergrowth through unethical means because you're making a promise and then you're not fulfilling it. But where hypergrowth can really come into its own is when you have that earned audience that starts referring you, that starts sharing what you're doing, that starts doing all of those things that are going to bring more people into your world. Now, the really great part of that is a lot of it's like referral marketing. You've built a relationship with consumer, you've built relationships with people in your network, and now that's going to exponentially grow for you in the right environment. Internal triggers, there are a couple: thought, emotion, and pre-existing routines. Now you have to remember that your whole point when you're running an assessment is to get people to click. That means the copy for it has to be really good. It has to be thought-provoking, it has to hit a nerve, and it has to go with their pre-existing conditions, so pre-existing routines. So are they quiz takers? Is there something in that title that tells them that we're about to break a habit or we're about to walk into a pre-existing routine? The emotion of it, a lot of times that emotion can be triggered by, let's take a look at how you're doing with this. Because many people are open to seeing what they're doing wrong when they have a problem. And thought is changing a way of thinking. Thought is hitting into the thoughts of your buyer. So all of those can do the same as well. So building triggers like you're a 5-year-old. Take out your pens because this is kind of fun. It's kind of annoying if you have a 5-year-old, but it really, really works. So start with building a narrative. And then build the why series. And from there, identify the why trigger. So when I talk about building a narrative, what's the topic? Where are you going to go with this? This is a great exercise to do with your products, even with the modules within your product. That means, of course, if you don't have a program, that you go to the book. Do it around your book. Do it around every chapter of the book, so you can stay crystal clear on why you need all this. With the assessment, do it with every category in the assessment, and you're going to have at least, well, hopefully, ideally, 4 categories. The why series. So we're going to pretend with this that there is a brand new product called email. So our first question is, why would Juliet want to use email? Well, the answer is so she can send and receive messages. Well, think about it. Before email, some of you may not be that old, but back before then, how did we send and receive messages? Telephone and in person for the most part. I think we had beepers. I'm trying to remember. That was a long time ago. But they were very archaic ways where we couldn't really mass communicate with people either. So the next question, now that we know, so she can send and receive emails. Whoops, this slide messed up a little bit. The second question would be, why would Juliet want to do that? And the answer is so that she can quickly share and receive information. Okay, that's cool because it's quicker than the phone, it's quicker than the beeper, it's quicker than all the other messages. Carrier pigeon's a little slow. So after that's answered, why does she want to do that? And the answer is because she wants to know what's going on inside of her company. She wants status updates. She wants to know when people have problems. She wants to know, if she's not a business person, she may want to know what her family or friends are up to. She may want to know what's going on with a family gathering, where, who, what, when, how, and it's much, much easier to do it this way. From there, the why series continued. So why does she want to know that? Let's take it in the context within her company. Why does she want to know what's going on inside of her company? The answer, to know if a project or a product or something, if all of it's running on time. Is it running on time? Is it running correctly? Can she see little bits of it to make sure it's going in the right direction? That's pretty important in today's era. And lastly, why would she care about that? This is really where you're going to get the gold in this exercise, because the why would she care? When we care, it's emotion. So what is that emotion that's driving me to care about this? In the place of email, because she's afraid of not delivering to her clients as promised. Because if she fails to deliver to her clients as promised, then she's losing them. So she's losing business, and then she's losing money, and then she's losing her house, and then she's, the cycle goes on and on from there. So what's really going on here is fear. Plain and simple, fear. And that's what you're really getting down to, is playing on or understanding what motivates those people. It would motivate me to use email because I fear losing clients, and here's a way for me to communicate more effectively. So if you want more of this, there's a great book, and it'll help you with developing all sorts of products and services. Books are included. And it's called Hooked by Nir Ayal. And I got a little bit of that from there, but the whole book is really good at the deep dive. So if you're not fully building your funnel, you are leaking clients and revenue. So got to get that up to date. Talk to you next Thursday. Thanks for stopping by.